Yeah, so looks like somebody froze me up there. I don't think. All right, let me get back to it. Tell me I clicked that video. I did. All right, well, that's okay. I still got this. All right, so David Samuels interviews David Garrow. In the absence of American journalism, it's hard to know which portrait of Obama's post-presidency is true to life. Obama as a celebrity-obsessed would-be billionaire, or as a would-be American Castro reshaping American society from his basement in his sweats. Yet the answer is, I believe, somewhere in David Garrow's book, is what he says here. What's this Rumble notification? Is it myself? I hope not. It is. All right. So, wow, Rumble is much faster. Rumble is much faster. It is. Than YouTube. Damn. Okay. Anyway, at bottom, Rising Star is a tragic story about a young man who is deeply wounded by the abandonment of both his white mother and his black father. A wound that gifted first his black father. A wound that gifted him with political genius and at the same time made him the victim of a profound narcissism. See, I said that before in the last video before I remember if you're watching this, my stream froze. So there's a video right before this that started this video. This is starting right in the middle of where I was. At bottom, Rising Star is a tragic story about a young man who was deeply wounded by the abandonment of both his white mother and black father, a wound that gifted him with a political genius and at the same time made him, now this is where what I said before, the victim of a profound narcissism that first whispered to him in his mid-20s that he was destined to be president. It is not hard to see how Garrow has come to believe that Obama's ambition proved to be toxic, both for the man and for the country. But why? As a human being who was sentient for long stretches of time between 2008 and 2017, I was, in general, a fan of Barack Obama and his presidency. What I could never understand was Obama's contempt for the idea of American exceptionalism. Even as president, Obama insisted on poking exceptionalists in the eye, saying that he believed in American exceptionalism just as I suspect that the Brits believe in British exceptionalism and the Greeks believe in Greek exceptionalism. Why would the President of the United States feel the need to disabuse his countrymen of the idea that they are special? What made Obama's rejection of American exceptionalism seem particularly weird to me was his attachment to Abraham Lincoln, whose cadences and economy of language he urged his writers to emulate. As a historian, one might plausibly argue that Lincoln was a saint who saved the Union, or a monster who shed rivers of blood, or that he didn't go far enough. But there is no arguing with Lincoln's belief in the uniqueness of the American destiny for which he sent hundreds of thousands of young men to die. Of all men, Abraham Lincoln would have been baffled by an American president who denied that America was exceptional. What did all these people die for then? And what exactly did Obama think that Lincoln's speeches were about? This is great. This is a great article by David Samuels. The RFK Jr. tapes he has there. Okay. Obama's hostility to American exceptionalism also seemed linked to his hostility to Israel. Yeah, no shit. Or more specifically, to America's identification with Israel, which finally resulted in his determination during his second term to reach his agreement with Iran, an agreement with the main objective of integrating that country into America's security architecture in the Middle East, while limiting Israel's power in the region. Again, why? This is a guy who loves Obama asking these questions. I got a guy, David Samuels, who loves Obama, who's writing about a guy named David Garrow, who was Obama's biographer, who's also loved Obama. But they also, after a while, seem to say, hey, wait, what's going on here? Something's weird here. The sheer amount of political capital and focus Obama put into achieving the JCPOA during his second term, to the near exclusion of other goals. That's the thing. One of these idiots was on Patrick Bet David's podcast. I forgot. It's just the short, fat black guy that just yells at everyone and tells people that they're stupid, but meanwhile he makes no sense. Well, he said Trump did that. He said, well, did Trump promise this? And did it happen? Well, everyone in politics make promises that they will try to do things. Especially in the last, few years, the last 10, like a decade. We'll just call it a decade, even though it's a little shorter than that. That's not the case. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't even know. The thing is, it's not Barack Obama's fault. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Donald Trump's fault. It's not Bill Clinton. It's not George Bush. Not their fault that every single thing that they campaigned on didn't happen. It's not their fault. I mean, it has to go through Congress. I mean that's one of the weakest, most lazy responses or arguments against a politician. I mean, you could destroy any politician except for one, though. And that's this guy, Obama, because people don't know about him. And just like Donald Trump said, so did David Garrow. There was nothing to criticize. Nobody knew who he was. Like, you could criticize Donald Trump. We've known him. I was born in the early 80s. I've known the name Donald Trump since I was a kid. Everyone knows who Hillary Clinton is, right? So, Hillary Clinton, if let's say she won the presidency, do you think everything that she was saying on her campaign that would have happened, every single thing that she said was going to happen 100% fully with no problem and just go through just because? That's not how things work. Anyway, let me finish reading this. And I just get pissed off when I hear stupid shit. It also carries more than a whiff of the kind of politics in which the American empire is seen not just as unexceptional, but also in some ways as actively evil. Yes, Barack Obama turned the world even further because the world already did not like America because, well, we're better than them, well, for the most part, and that gives, for the most, it's a jealousy, but America also does a lot of horrible things. I mean, over the last 100 years, there's been a lot of things that our country has done that they're horrible, including, going into other countries and changing their whole power system and structure. I mean, and then doing it. Then when she started a new one where we do it to our own people. We don't have to go out into another country and take their president out. We're trying to take our own out now. Thanks, Hillary. You really helped. Thank you. Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you may ask? Well, no, I wasn't asking that because I didn't think you were 50 points ahead, and I didn't think you should be, nor were you. In a passage of dreams that reeks of neoliberal poserism, this is great. Obama recalls, I chose my friends carefully. The more politically active black students, the foreign students, the Chicanos, the Marxist professors, and structural feminists and punk rock performance poets. We smoked cigarettes and wore leather jackets. At night in the dorms, we discussed neocolonialism, Franz Fanon, Eurocentrism, and patriarchy. Bullshit! When we ground out our cigarettes in the hallway carpet or set our stairs so loud that the walls began to shake, we were resisting bourgeois society's stifling constraints. We weren't indifferent or careless or insecure. We were alienated. Now, remember the beginning of this coming from David Samuels, leftist, Democrat, Obama lover, talking about the fake book that Obama didn't even write himself. It reeks of neoliberal poserism. That's what he said that part of his book said. But was Obama truly guided by post-70s dorm room stoner politics? As Garrow shows, Obama's best friend at Harvard Law School was a white student named Rob Fisher, who is now a senior special counsel at the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, that famed hotbed of punk rock performance poets and structural feminists. Wait. As Garrow shows, Obama's best friend at Harvard Law School was a white student named Rob Fisher, who is now a senior special counsel at the SEC. That famed hotbed of that the SEC is a famed hotbed of punk rock performance poets and structural feminists. Right. Okay. Or was he driven by some deeper radicalism? I wonder. My own read of Obama has always been that he was a skillful elite pleaser with a radical streak that did in fact emerge from the anti-imperialist politics of the 70s, the foundational claim of which was that equality trumps freedom. Which brings us back to Obama's breakup with that girl from the beginning, from the earlier video, Sheila. I've never seen any evidence that Barack has the slightest personal animus towards Jews as individuals, but from his denial of American exceptionalism and his sourness towards Israel, going all the way back to Sheila's account of their breakup, there does seem to be an awareness of the underlying problem posed by his politics by Jews. That is, the problem posed by Jewish group survival and their continuing insistence on Jewish historical particularity. Progressive theology is built on a mythic hierarchy of group victimhood, which has endured throughout time. I said in the last video, I spoke about that, up until the present day. The injuries that the victims have suffered are so massive, so shocking, so manifestly unjust that they dwarf the present. Such injuries must be remedied immediately at nearly any cost. The people who do the work of remedying these injustices by whatever means are the heroes of history. Conversely, the sins of the chief oppressors of history, white men, are so dark that nothing short of abject humiliation and capitulation can begin to approach justice. It's unbelievable. Let's see. Ghettos were invented for Jews. Concentration. I can't talk today. Concentration camps too. How can Jews be privileged white people if they are clearly among history's victims? And if Jews aren't white people, then perhaps lots of other white people are also victims and therefore aren't white. Like Italians and my family and my two grandparents who were slaves in Tunisia until the late 1950s. Yeah, they were slaves in Africa. White slaves in Africa in the 50s, 1950s, not 1850s. Remember that. In the theological sense in which that term gains its significance in progressive ideology. Maybe black people aren't always or primarily black. Maybe the whole progressive race-based theology is, historically and ideologically speaking, a load of crap, which is why the Jews are and will remain a problem. Obama didn't invent any of this stuff. He was just a wounded kid trying to figure out his own place in the world and get ahead. Still, looking back, it's hard to avoid the sense that Obama himself was exceptional. He was the guy chosen by history to put something in the American goldfish bowl that made all the fish go crazy and eat each other. America's emerging oligarchy cementing its grip instead of going bust. The rise of monopoly internet platforms. The normalization of government spying on Americans. Okay, sorry. On Americans. Race relations going south, skyrocketing inequality, the rise of. I'm not even reading that. The birth of Russiagate, yes. It all happened with Obama in the White House. The rise of Donald Trump. That's not a bad thing. To understand how we wound up here, it therefore seems necessary to start by understanding the man that so many of us refuse to see outside of the myth that he created for himself. His problems are now our problems as much as Donald Trump's are. That is why I went to talk to David Garrow. Oh my God, I can't believe this. What follows is a condensed and edited version of two long interviews conducted recently with the historian at his home in Pittsburgh, centering around his 2017 biography of Obama, rising star, the making of Obama. Let me see if I could just get. I'll just go. I mean, I didn't even know that this is part of this. I thought that was like the end of the article. All right, so let me find good questions. Okay, see, all right. So you interviewed Obama when he was in the White House. I spent 8 hours talking with him on 3 different days, and we didn't record it, and it's officially off the record. But some of the stuff he was most energized about was, to me, hilariously inconsequential, like insisting that he really had been fluent in Indonesian as a third grader. Bullshit. Or that he didn't tell several Illinois State Senate staffers that he knew Ricky Hendon could kick his butt. There are shared elements in the sensitivities. Okay. What do you see as a connection, if any, between the personal lives of powerful men and their public lives? Blah 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 blah. I'm not here to talk about anyone but one person. If, in fact, I can make the case that Obama's public life was the amoral part, beginning with the toleration of genocide in Syria and the extrajudicial killing of U.S. citizens, and extending to wide-scale illegal surveillance and spying, and is now becoming the spokesperson for gutting the First Amendment in favor of government censorship of large tech platforms, like this one, that just censored my other channel for a video that's on 15 other channels. The defense of the Obama people when you talk to them is he was never touched by scandal. Oh, that's a good one. No scandals during Obama. Yeah, right. No scandals. Fast and Furious. That's one. There you go. Meaning personal scandal. And you're like, well, I'm sure all those people who got gassed to death in Syria or are growing up in American towns with no jobs feel just great about the fact that he never got a blowjob in the Oval Office. And then David Guerin says, I think major turning point in his presidency was that whole thing where he and Dennis McDonough walk around the White House grounds and he changes his mind about Syria. Okay, I don't know about that. I imagine being part of the effective president is convincing everyone that you're at least conceivably on their side. Okay, I imagine that part of being effective as president is convincing everyone within your own administration that you are at least conceivably on their side. But there's no way to bomb Syria, meaning to bomb Iran, and also convince Iran that he was sincere about reaching a deal. He just let all the bomb Syria talk go on as long as he could to please the hawks before pulling the rug out from under them. That's politics. Barack Obama meets with Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications, Dennis McDonough, and speechwriter Ben Rhodes on Air Force One, June 4th, 2009, en route to Cairo, Egypt. Doesn't look like that photo is coming up on the screen. It isn't. I didn't read anything beyond the simple daily coverage of this during those years, but I always assumed that his discomfort with the Israeli government was, in significant part, just a reaction to Netanyahu and disliking him as an individual character. Okay, so do people shape history? Do individuals matter? God, yes. For the worse. Millions of people have had their lives messed up because of Vladimir Putin. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Would the Nazi regime and the Holocaust have happened without Hitler? No. Hermann Goring, Rudolf Hess, Heinrich Himmler, those clowns could not have created something. Those clowns could not have created something. At the same time that I have this bizarre fascination with supremely evil characters like Putin and Hitler. I don't think Putin is in a league as Hitler or Stalin. It's not even close. I also have a somewhat parallel fascination with people who have remarkable courage, even though they're getting almost no support for it. Alexei Navalny, first and foremost, he has some inner strength that exceeds even Doc's. What? Yet, Dr. Martin Luther King. Yet Martin always believed that he was not essential, that he was accidental, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's not what we're here about. Okay. All right. Let me say one other thing about Martin Luther King Jr. Always 100% retained his individual self, even while realizing that there was this press creation. And when he's wearing that uniform of the black suit, little tie, and he's being so relentlessly sober whenever he's in the public eye, that's not him. That's him playing the part that he's been called into. With Barack, I'm not sure I like the word binary, but with Doc was very clear about himself and the role. With Barack, there's an extent of intertwining. There's an absence of keeping the two selves separate. But there is a before and after moment which Obama writes about in Dreams, and which you document in your book. Obama coming to Chicago and his conversation with his motel owner when he crosses the state line. Okay. Yes, that is not there when he drives to Chicago. Bob Elia, the motel owner up there, I found him because of Mark Silverman, our wonderful blah, blah, blah. I went back in the property records looking for Sharon, Pennsylvania, and told me who owned the hotel where Obama stays, which he writes about in Dreams. And so I found 4 phone numbers for Robert Elia right on that Pennsylvania-Ohio border. Okay, I want to hear what they said. I love your description, but the person who actually witnesses this transformation in which Obama becomes the person we know now, and when he begins to imagine that he has this special destiny, which turns out to be true, is his girlfriend, Sheila. Sheila had a huge impact on me because no one can appreciate the difference between who he was and who he became the way she can. She was poised at exactly the point of inflection in a very intimate space. Just the two of them sharing this apartment in Chicago, she saw it happen. The transformation. Sheila was so mortified when I found those comments she posted on those various Washington Post stories because she's even more of an innocent by a long stretch than I am. This is David Guerin saying this. She had no idea that mouthing off when you're logged in means that anyone can identify who posted this comment. Really? At some point, as President Barack starts calling Sheila, as president, his girlfriend at the University of Chicago, one of his 3 girlfriends before he marries Mike, and reestablishes a connection with her. I imagine that happened because he knew you had found her in your research for your book. Did he talk to you about that directly? Yeah. I assume he was not happy. Oh no. This is where I don't necessarily trust my memory, but I think I already knew that from Bob Bauer, Obama's lawyer, who was my go-between with Barack for months. I could not be more professionally positive about Bob Bauer. He handled an incredibly difficult, bizarre situation superbly. Why was it bizarre? Okay, that's what we want to know. It was bizarre to me because, and again, no one's ever challenged me on this, and as with the Dorothy Cotton, whatever, it was seemingly an odd decision. It was easy and automatic to let Barack read the whole transcript of the first 10 chapters and mark it up, which is what then leads to these long discussions of, yes, I was fluent in Indonesian or whatever. Yeah, whatever you call it, Indonesian, exactly. Bob is Barack's lawyer, but he was also coaching me. My clearest memory, and there's nothing officially off the record with Bob, so I think I can say this, and boy, it's the clearest thing I remember of all my conversations with him. This is close to a quote. Whatever you do, don't ask him about his father. From the author of Dreams from My Father. That's very strange. He's not normal, as in not a normal politician or a normal human being. That is David Guerin, biographer of Barack Obama, Obama's, a lover of Barack Obama, not personal sexual lover, but he had many of those that were men, but someone who followed him, respected him, but learned the hard way and the good way to tell everyone else what's going on, that Barack Obama is a fraud. He's not even, anything you've heard of him is fake. It's just unbelievable that people don't care. So anyone who sees this, I hope you watched it, and please go to. Let me go back to it. I'm just gonna have to use this side thing here. Tabletmag.com. Type in, I guess, to Google tabletmag.com, the Obama Factor, and read this whole thing. It's unbelievable. I highly suggest it. Thanks for watching. Let's go, America. Fuck these people. They're trying to destroy our country. This country will remain a superpower forever.